Hello, welcome back to the latest episode of You Are My Boro with myself, Dom Shaw, Scott Wilson as ever, and we are both delighted to be joined by Rob Edwards, a special guest on this week's episode. How are you, Rob? Thanks so much for joining us.
Good, Dom. Good, Scott. How are you both?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good.
Always good when you're top of the league.
On Friday night, Rob, after the win over West Brom, you talked then about how you wanted fans to go away, enjoy the weekend, maybe have a few drinks. How do you enjoy a night after a win like that? Enjoy your weekend. I know obviously the demands of the job, you don't get much opportunity to switch off, but do you get a chance to enjoy a win like that?
Yeah, I try and enjoy it. I try to. It's a nice feeling. There's satisfaction there. There's relief. There is, but I can enjoy it. But then I drove home. I went back home to Birmingham after the game, so I got back late. But then the adrenaline's still pumping, and probably didn't get to sleep till about 4 o'clock. And then I was up quite early because again, adrenaline's just still coursing through your veins, and I'm still thinking about the game. But yeah, it's a great feeling. Satisfaction. There's a little bit of right. We've had a good week there. We've set out what we wanted to try and do, but then you start focusing on what's coming next. I drove to Hull then to watch Hull against Southampton, so that was then sort of business as usual. You're back on it then.
I know when we first talked, when you first came in, Rob, and you were pretty confident about what you could achieve and excited to be here and everything. Leaving aside what's happened on the pitch, but more so I think off it. How pleased have you been with how kind of quickly you seem to have settled in and taken to life at Middlesbrough? And kind of has there been anything that surprised you about that side of it? And just how quickly you seem to have built up a really good relationship with the fans and with the area?
Yeah, I'd like to think. I mean, all I want to try and be is myself, Scott, and I just want to try and. We all work hard. Everyone does. Everyone connected to the club. You guys do. Everyone works hard. All the supporters will do as well. So that's just a given. But so that's sort of odd. That just takes care of itself. But then we talked about valuing the supporters, and trying to involve them and wanting to try and engage with them and talked about the importance of them and recognizing how hard they work and how much money they spend and. Following the team, the away support we have is incredible. The home support's been great. Big numbers and good turnouts, and talking about that and talking about that with the lads as well. And I do think it's difficult, always for there to be a great relationship all of the time. I know that it takes some time to build and to build again some trust but the lads are, the lads can be like heroes to a lot of these people, and especially a lot of our younger fans as well. And we try and talk about that, but there's nothing like results. Obviously, results help.
Yeah.
So it's all well and good me talking a good game, and we've got to try and deliver. But I think the fact we do take our time with the supporters. We like to speak to everyone. We try and show our appreciation at the end of the game, win, lose or draw, and the fact that then we've had some results, it all comes together and knits together, and we're in a good spot at the moment. And there's going to be times where we're going to need each other. There'll be some tough moments. There's been tough moments in games when we've needed the supporters to get going. We conceded late on the other night. I need the fans then to go again and make sure we get over the line. And but yeah, really, really pleased with how we've all come together quite quickly, and we all hopefully recognise the importance of being on the same page. I think if our supporters see the lads giving everything and working hard, they'll accept certain mistakes. They'll accept that we're not going to be brilliant all the time because we're human beings and we're going to, it's not going to be perfect. But the work rate, the intensity, the leaving it all out there stuff. That's hopefully what they recognise that the lads are doing.
One of the conversations I've had a lot with fans, Rob, over the course of the last few weeks, and I know it's the same with Scott, is that you get it, and a lot of the new signings seem to get it as well. And I know it's still only early days. You're only 3 months in. Do you feel like the town and the club's got under your skin already?
Yeah, I do, and very special people up here. We've been really warmly welcomed. really warmly welcomed by everyone here, at the training ground and at the stadium, and all the supporters, everyone that I meet, been so warm, really positive, and that's been great, and that does help because when you're settling into a new club and a big football club as well, there's always worry, and I'm only like all of us, you guys come in, Harry and Adi, we're human beings, and you hope that people respond well and take us sort of in, and but yeah, I certainly feel at home up here, and that is a big thing as well, Dom, because my family they can come up on the weekends, and during the holidays, the school holidays, they could come up for a few more days and everything. But that's an important thing for me. If I feel settled and happy here, I'm going to be able to do my best work. When I'm living up here on my own at times as well. So that's really important. So that's been really pleasing for me. And look, it's easy whilst the sun is shining. It's been another beautiful day up in the northeast today, and like you said, we're going all right at the moment. So the time will tell when it gets pretty windy and rainy and wet and cold, which I know is probably around the corner. And we lose a game or two, that's when it gets trying, and that's when we've got to all stick together and keep doing the hard work.
Yeah, make the most of the sun, because it'll be back in about April. That'll be about when you see it next, I reckon. Just a little bit on kind of the recruitment and the summer in general and everything, Rob. Because again, when we met you that first day, I wouldn't say there was a nervousness, but obviously you just come through the door. No signings had come in at that stage. Pre-season got going. Still no signings had come in when that kicked off. And I think there was a degree of nervousness. And you were very strong saying, look, I know the conversations that's going on behind the scenes. I know, what's being planned. I'm more than comfortable with this. And obviously we get to the point at the end of the window where an awful lot of work's being done already, what looks like an awful lot of good work. What was it about those early conversations with presumably people like Kieran and Chris in particular that gave you that confidence? And just how pleased were you with the way the summer progressed?
Yeah, history will tell you that this club always, we do recruit well, and Kieran, I think, is someone that has delivered a lot with some really good players that have come in. Jonesy is such a hard-working person and seems to know every player in the world, and I think obviously he'll have people working with him, but he's really, really good. So that gave me a lot of confidence. And it's hard for me because I get in front of you guys and there's nothing more I want to be able to say, like, we're going for him, we're going to do this, but I have to straight back a lot of the stuff. And I've got to try and be down the middle with stuff. And I know people won't want to hear that, but you can't give it all away for obvious reasons. So, yeah, we were pretty calm and confident that we were going to be able to have a really positive window and an effective window. But there's always some things that are out of our control as well. And ultimately, Steve will green light stuff or he'll, whether that's outgoings as well as incomings. And so we'll it's a sort of there's obviously a chain of command on that sort of stuff, and then we'll see where we're at. But we're always confident that we'd be in a good spot. And I really do think we are. So now we come out of it, and with where we're at, I think we've got a really strong squad. And then already in January it will get stronger with Addison arriving anyway. Never mind what else we may or may not do. So we'll see. I think we've got a really strong group that's going to hopefully get better the longer we're together, because like I touched on after the game the other night, we're not going to be at our best at the moment. It's impossible. Yeah. Still got a lot of lads that are learning about the league, the language, the football here, and then obviously a new group, new teammates, new messages from new coaching staff. So it's really hard for a lot of those guys to just come in and just take off and be their best. We've all got to understand that as well, which I think everyone does. We've got an intelligent fan base who get the football, so they're gonna, they know that some of that stuff will take some time as well. But we've seen some really good little shoots already, and some really good individual performances within and team performances within the games. Maybe not for the full 97, 98 minutes yet, but hopefully that will come.
Yeah. You hear managers, Rob, when they're out of work, you hear them talking about maybe going into other clubs and seeing how other managers operate, maybe looking at other sports and seeing how they operate. What did you do between leaving Luton and being appointed as Middlesbrough head coach to make you, in your opinion, a better manager?
I took some time, Dom. I needed some time to refresh. It was great, but it was a real stressful up and down, few years at Luton, where we did, we achieved some great things, and even on the greatest day at Wembley, we still had a real worry with what happened to Tom and everything. It was never, couldn't even enjoy the day fully in the end. That one. So, and a really exciting year in the Premier League, but which ultimately ended with some disappointment. But it was, we can all see the size of the challenge, and it was always going to be that for us, because for Luton, because we did things slightly different way to most teams as well, and there was other sort of priorities, as well as trying to improve the squad that we had, and then coming down was tough. It was a challenge, good bits of learning, but it kind of beats you up. It does. Before that, really, all I've known is success. We won the league at Forest Green. We got promoted the year after with Luton, after obviously the short spell at Watford. It was just neither here nor there almost. So we've gone promotion. Really exciting year in the Premier League, and then a tough half a season where we were up against it for a lot of reasons. So that was good learning for me, but really challenging as well. But it sapped my energy in the end.
Yeah.
I think, like all of us, you feel it. You feel it. And you live through it, and you shoulder a lot of the blame and responsibility, and then it's hard as well to accept the good stuff when it comes as well, because you just try and palm it off to everyone, so you see that the great stuff was down to them, and then it's my fault for all the and everything, and I think that it just began to weigh me down, and I probably wasn't looking after myself as well as I should have. I was not sleeping as well and not eating as well, and all of that sort of stuff. So it was a case of trying to look after myself again, spend some time with the family, refresh, and then just started to talk to people and meet some new people. So obviously a couple of staff that have come in now with AD and H. It was me, knew AD already, but a good few meetings with him, and met H, and just beginning to think about what the team might look like. I know how I want things to work and how I want to be, and I don't think I've got to go. I'm not saying we do everything right, but you go into clubs, a lot of stuff will look similar anyway. You can go into other football clubs and they'll work on the same stuff, but they might call it something different. Yeah. So I didn't feel I needed to go into too many football clubs to look at other things or other people. I'll always look at what the strength of our group and our squad is and try and play to their strengths. But I'll always have some non-negotiables within that. The hard work, we sprint, we try to win duels, we try to value defending, but then we'll try and play to our team strengths. So we're actually looking at some stuff today, and we're not as much of a crossing team obviously now, because we play through a bit more, very different. My Luton team was the highest crossing team in the league, so I'll try to play players' strengths. Wherever the managers, everyone goes, oh, what's your style? He's got this style, he's got that style. I try and get a successful team, really, is what I want to do. And so, it was a case of refreshing, meeting new people, and then when the opportunity came along, being prepared for it. So I did do some stuff with some guys in the FA who were helping with certain bits and looking at things that around my teams and the team's strengths, especially around. We had probably a 3 or 4 month block in the Premier League where I looked at it, and that's how I want my team to be. I liked it, especially for Luton. It really worked and fit for them. So I did some work on that and how that compared to other teams and around Europe and everything, and looking at strengths and weaknesses of it, and things that I could take that going forward into another club, but maybe not that. So I did some learning and some reflection time as well. But the biggest thing for me was just genuinely getting my energy back and the love for the game again. That was what it was.
And it's interesting there, Rob, because you talk there about style and how certain managers do certain things and everything. Some managers will kind of say they've got non-negotiables in terms of what happens on the pitch and the way their team plays. It feels like with you, a lot of your non-negotiables are the way the players are off the pitch and the way they are in training and the way they conduct themselves and the way they are as professionals. And actually, on a match day, you're willing to be flexible in terms of what suits the opposition, what suits the players I've got, what suits that particular day.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I think it's really important that we live by certain, we try and respect each other. We're good people. We try and take the time out to speak to people throughout the day or people around the club, and try and be good. Live it every single day when we're out on the training pitch, and try to live what we do and what we say we want to do and how we want to look on a weekend or a Tuesday night. But yeah, we'll try and find ways when it's on a match day. Well, obviously you need to have, Scott, you need to have you need to have an organisation that if it's not going well, you can fall back on it. Yeah. You know, we know what we're doing. We're up against it, you know, for 10 minutes, which we've had this season. You know, Norwich was probably a 10 or 15 minute period in the first half. Yeah. The other night against West Brom, there's periods where we're up against it, so we've got to know what we're doing. But then, we'll try and solve problems whilst the game's going on as well. But I think that's what any good coaching team will try to do, and a good set of players will try to do anyway. I think what we want to try and do is have a varied game where we can have an answer regardless of what the opposition do to us or however they try to stop us. So the other night's a great example. We scored from a long throw and then a brilliantly worked goal. You know, 2 different ways of scoring. So yeah, if we can have that in our armoury, then that certainly helps.
You mentioned at the start there, Rob, going back home after the game last Friday. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. You were saying during the international break, one of your kids had started secondary school, so it was nice to be there for that. If you don't mind me asking, like, how on earth do you balance being a football manager, being a dad, or being a husband? Because it's so all-consuming, isn't it? There's so much. There's no getting away from it. Is that something you learn over time?
I think so, but then when it's quite good. My wife's really supported me. She's been amazing, a real rock for me throughout my whole career, and we've been together for a long, long time. You know, God, we were 2020, but 2021 when we got together, so 20 odd years. And so she came through all the playing stuff with me, and then when I finished, it's quite funny. Then your money goes from it's all right to, and your hours are like down here. And then, you know, then all of a sudden, like you got no money coming in, and your hours are going up here, and all of a sudden, where's Rob gone? You know, he's but she and the kids were quite young at that stage, you know, 12, 13 years ago when I retired. So she was really supportive then, and I said, look, this is what I want to do, and I thought I could be all right at it, and she fully supported that, along with my parents and her parents, and the kids were great. Now the kids, I have girls at 20 and 17, so they're older and they get it. They've got their own lives going on and understand it completely. Our son's obviously a little bit young, a bit of a gap between the girls and Leighton. So he, got to make sure I'm always catching up with him on FaceTime if I'm not around. So speak to him on FaceTime in the morning before school, and then, you know, I'll be able to get, we're going to have a day off tomorrow, so I can get back home this evening and see him, and have, you know, see him off tomorrow to school and stuff like that. So, but they understand it. They understand it. That's my point. They're very supportive and they get it, and they know really I'm doing it for us, you know, for us as well, and for them. That's why we're all working, really, isn't it? We want to support our families and do right by them, as well as have our own personal ambitions and our own drive to try and be successful. So I think you know, I heard some of the biggest and the best managers in the business ever sort of talking about sometimes you have to be a little bit selfish and make some sacrifices in this job. And I suppose the sacrifices that they understand that I'm making now is obviously living away, but try and make sure you know, I see them and make contact as much as possible. And but like I say, they get it. But you know, if you don't have that support and understanding people around you, it can be very, very difficult.
Last couple, if that's all right, because I know you'll have a million and one things to do, Rob. But when again, going back to kind of when you first came in, you know, you'd said that there had been other offers, you know, you'd taken the time out, you wanted to know that it was the right job, and managers often say that, but clearly part of the right job is having a chance to get promotion. Is part of the job as well, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here because there's only 5 games of this season gone.
But we're going to.
Yes, but I'm going to. But was part of the excitement at Middlesbrough that if you can get it right at Middlesbrough, then there is the potential for getting it right to actually be really quite big and really, you know, really big sustainable growth. And again, I don't want to downplay in any way what you might have achieved at Luton. But it kind of feels like with the greatest will in the world, there's maybe a ceiling at Luton. And at the minute, maybe the ceiling at Borough could be a little bit higher.
Yeah, look, a complete respect to all my former clubs. And we kind of overachieved maybe a little bit at Forest Green in winning the league from where the budget was, and did some great stuff. And then the opportunity came along quite quickly then to move up the football pyramid. And from a selfish point of view, it was kind of felt like it was the right thing to do. And then we found ourselves at Luton, amazing football club that had been batting above their average for a couple of years under Nathan and all of the team that work around that. And we picked up the team in 10th of that international break, and obviously yourself, like us, I say yourself, like you, Borough, we're close in and around it as well. And it was an amazing year. We get the 50 points from the 25 games. We go and win the playoffs, and then we're in the Premier League. And it was a magical period. And then it was really hard. Then we found it really difficult then to sort of keep that momentum going. Yeah. After that magical year in the Premier League. I felt like after 2 promotions in 3 years and an exciting year in the Premier League, and obviously, all right, we had a difficult few months, which maybe a lot of people then remember the negative moments and the last part of you, rather than maybe some of the success that we'd had previously. But I felt that I wanted to wait for what I thought was an opportunity I deserved as well, and felt that we could have success at. And things for me, and people talk about this a lot in football, but the owner, the whole fit just felt right. Steve, if he sees good work going on, there's not many now English British owners who are supporters of their football club still, in the Championship and above now in the Premier League. So that was obviously massive appeal. And then working with a group of people then that the decision makers with Neil and with Kieran and those guys, it just felt like it felt like the right thing if the opportunity was to come along. And then probably the biggest draw was the size of the football club and what could be achieved here if we got it right. You do have a chance at a club like this. You do have a chance, even if you've not been in the Premier League for a decade. You have a chance at a club like this because we do have good players. We've got a big fan base, fantastic facilities. It's a big football club, and I wanted to test myself and take a risk and back myself and try and try and take it on. And even if things don't work out, then I can always look back and go, do you know what? I tried, I gave it everything, and I was brave, because you've got to be brave to do this job as well. There's a lot of people who be, opinions will be knocking around. You can get a lot of stick as well in this role, and I get it, because it means so much to people, and football means so much to people. I understand it, so I'm not complaining about that at all. That's how it is. We're passionate about our football in this country. I love it. But it can also, people don't fully understand how it is either, in that arena, and when you're in it and it's intense, and it can take it out of you, which I felt. It had to go back in. It had to be for the right club. It had to be the right opportunity to work with the right people and to be at a club that is, I feel, for me in my career and my journey, a real big step. Yeah, so it's an exciting one.
Last one from me, Rob, before we wrap up. You often hear about footballers, sports people talking about enjoying the moment, kind of cherishing the moment. You've talked to the players about enjoying the wins, because wins are hard to come by. Your celebrations on the pitch at full time, 5 games out of 6, we've seen you there, and the fans were trying the best at Preston, which we laughed about after. How does that feel in the moment when you're there in front of however many thousand fans, and the same for the players as well? I saw you when you were urging Dale to get there and to milk it. Well, how does that feel in that moment for you?
Yeah, really special, really special. That's why we do it. That moment, that bit is why you do it. And it's even better than if you can achieve something at the end of the season. But you work, we all do. Like I said, everyone, and it's not just us, everybody works really hard all week, and the supporters work really hard then to hopefully see their team play well and win. And we work really hard to try and deliver that. And then the feeling when everyone's happy and celebrating at the end is like nothing else. It is a drug. It is a drug. It's a special feeling to just, that 5 minutes or so when you're going around the pitch seeing everyone's faces and saying thank you is, yeah, it's the best. It can't be replaced. That.
Let's hope we see it again at Southampton on Saturday afternoon. Well, thanks so much, Rob, on behalf of myself and Scott. You know, we know you're fairly busy, so we really appreciate your time coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks, I've enjoyed it.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, yeah, thank you. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As ever, we'll be back next week on You Are My Boro. Take care.